ever look over at other people and wonder to yourself, why am I so behind financially? Because when you go on social media, people are either making hundreds of thousands of dollars a month, they've scaled businesses to hundreds of million dollars, they are millionaires in their boats and their private jets, and you start to compare yourself to other people, wondering, is there something wrong with me? But when you actually look at data and statistics, the average American is unable to cover an emergency. A large portion of Americans live paycheck to paycheck, and a big portion of Americans don't even own investments or stocks. In today's video, I'm going to break through social media noise and talk about signs that you're doing well financially, even if it doesn't feel like it. If you're new here, my name is Alice. I'm a chartered professional accountant helping you with all things related to money. Do me a favor, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, join my newsletter, and let's get into the video. The first sign you're doing well financially is that you can handle unexpected expenses that come up. Now, according to this statistic, the average American is unable to cover an emergency bill of $1,000. If you are a high earner, you make good money, that's great. That's security for yourself, but no real financial freedom or security comes in until you've learned how to manage that money, do well with it, and be good with their money. Because your company may give you a great salary, give you a great compensation package, but that also means that your livelihood and your own financial well-being depends on the paycheck that you get from them. Once you learn how to make a little bit of money, make some more money, you will realize that managing and keeping money is actually harder than making money. Because when you make more money, your expenses naturally go up. It's not always lifestyle creep per se, right? There's just gonna be more things that are going on in your life, especially if you're in business. Having emergency fund, having cash reserves to tap into, again, not related to income, is a sign that you're doing well financially. So ask yourself, if your employer didn't pay you for a couple months for whatever reason, would you be okay? So if you had an unexpected expense, such as something happening with your car, an unexpected medical bill, a family emergency, dealing with a rising cost of living during this period, would you be okay? If the answer to these two questions is yes, then you're actually doing better than most people statistically. The next sign you're doing well financially is that you're either debt-free or you have a very low debt-to-income ratio. Now, America is in a lot of debt. American household debt actually hit a record $16.9 trillion at the end of 2022, which is up $2.75 trillion since 2019, according to the Federal Reserve. Americans, they owe $986 billion on their credit cards, $11.92 trillion on their mortgages, $1.55 trillion on vehicle loans, and $1.6 trillion on student loans. Now, people have different reasons for going into debt. Everyone has a different life story, right? Families with more children tend to have more debt. If you went to an expensive college and you're still paying off your student loans, you could have more debt. If you are currently in debt, debt-to-income ratio is something that you can look at. If you have bills that amount to $5,000 a month, and you make $7,500 a month after tax, your debt-to-income ratio is 66%. If you have a debt-to-income ratio of 30% or less, or you're even debt-free as the ultimate goal, statistically speaking, you are doing much better than most Americans. The third sign is that you don't stress out or count down the days until payday. According to this article, nearly half of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. And money is the reason that a lot of people are kept up at night. Your financial well-being ideally shouldn't hinge on your next paycheck. Remember, you cannot control external circumstances. You cannot control what the government chooses to do, okay? You cannot necessarily control what your company chooses to do. You can only control what you do. If your financial well-being is going to be dramatically impacted every single time the government makes a decision, your company makes a decision, it is actually a sign that you're not doing well financially. If you cannot afford to take any time off work because missing a pay cycle means that you cannot pay your bills, if the thought of missing your next paycheck scares you, then I want you to start prioritizing your financial health this year. Start managing your money more intentionally. Build up an emergency fund or savings. Start investing your money and just take control of your own finances. The next sign is you don't find yourself comparing yourself to others that often. Now, we all compare ourselves to others, but some more than others. If you wear envy and resentment on your sleeve and it comes through by the way you carry yourself and how you talk and complain about money, people can sense that from a mile away. There's much more competition at the bottom than at the top, so you might as well just focus on bettering yourself. There are a lot of ways to make money in this world. And you'll never really be sure of someone's financial situation. Okay, a company can make $30 million a year and be in deep financial trouble. People can make $100,000 a month and be in deep financial trouble. How do you know that people are doing well financially? The answer is that you won't. You'll never know. Unless you are doing someone's tax returns, you're looking at their bank statements and their investment statements, you will really never know how people are doing financially. That nobody is prone to completely not caring about what other people are doing, but all you can do is control what you do, control your own state of mind. You can't control what other people do, so you might as well just focus on yourself. Let's talk about credit score. So the average FICO score in America is 717, meaning that if you score better than this, or your credit score is better than this, you are by default doing much better than most people. So FICO score is based on a mix of parameters. Okay, it's based on your payment history, amounts owed, length of your credit history, new credit, and credit mix. But credit scores, they're kind of like report cards. A high credit score at all times means that you have paid off all your bills. It means that you keep low credit utilization of ideally 30% or less. That's generally the benchmark. So for example, if you have a credit card with a $20,000 limit, and you're not carrying a balance of more than $7,000, you don't use more than $7,000, that's a good thing for your credit score. Having a good credit score is one indication that you're responsible with money. And if your score is higher than average, it means that you are better with money than other people. Now, if you don't have good credit, there are many ways to increase and do better with your credit score. One way to do this is to actually apply for something called a secure credit card. Now, a secure credit card, if you're approved for one, it is meant to help you build and repair your credit. It's not a reason for you to go start buying whatever you want and start spending like crazy, but it will help you repair your credit. And usually you have to prepay in advance to be able to use that credit card. You don't need a reason to have a high credit score, right? Whether you intend to use credit or not, being able to borrow money when you need it, it's just a good report card for yourself on how you're doing financially. Having good credit is very, very important because you want to be ready before you need the credit, because if something comes up and you do need to borrow money or need money and your credit score isn't in good shape to begin with, that's a pretty rough situation to be in. The next sign is that you are investing and you have assets that are generating income. So according to this statistic, 60% of Americans own stock. You don't really need to have reasons for investing or saving, right? You should invest for many reasons. The main reason being that you can't trade time for money forever. At some point, your money needs to be put at work to earn more. US market just keeps going up and up over time. If you look at it historically, there is absolutely no reason to not be investing extra cash or monies. Now, passive income is a term that's thrown around a lot on the internet. I personally have a bit of a pet peeve when people just throw around this word loosely, but anything from dividends from stocks to interest-bearing investments that are generating you an income that you don't actually need to trade time for, right? That's a definition of passive income. But in order for your money to work for itself, you do need actually quite a bit of capital, because the average dividend-bearing stock pays between 3 to 5%. That's considered a good dividend stock. So if you had a $100,000 portfolio, that's $3,000 to $5,000 a year of passive income. People with large 7 to 8 figure investment portfolios, they have that passive income. That passive income is reinvested to grow their portfolios, and growth happens a lot faster. But typically you need to be at a certain amount of capital for the math to really kick off and to start working. The key to doing well with stocks is patience and consistency more than anything. Because if you can hold investments for 15, 20, 30 years, you are going to be in a very, very good financial position. True wealth acceleration for the average American means that you need to have skin in the game. You need to invest in the market. So if you don't have one already, make sure you open up a brokerage account and start investing today. But if you have employer-sponsored accounts or an IRA with your investments, you're doing actually better than half of Americans. Because according to this statistic, only 54% of Americans have a retirement account. Even if you are in your 20s and you're watching this video, there's no reason not to think about having a retirement account. And one of the biggest benefits of these retirement accounts is that you get tax benefits, right? If you have a traditional 401k that's employer sponsored, you get an immediate tax break for any contributions that you make to it. IRAs are also good too if you don't have access to a employer sponsored account or you've maxed out your 401k for the year, because there are annual limits to each of these accounts in terms of contributions. If you have these retirement accounts and you're contributing regularly, you're already doing better than half of Americans. And the gold standard is to actually maximize all of your contributions to this account, right? If you have maxed out all of your tax advantage accounts, that's a signal that you're doing extremely well financially. So make this a goal for yourself. Now let's talk about being confident in your own earning skills and your own decision making, and being good with money does go a little bit beyond just money management. Money management is very important, but it also comes down to how much you make and whether you can continually make more. Now, there are a lot of high income skills that you can learn today, even with the internet. Learning how to use artificial intelligence. You know, a lot of trades jobs with technical expertise pay very, very well. Sales is always an industry that's going to pay well. Okay, I'm not talking about retail sales or B2C sales, but people who can network, be rainmakers, broker deals, a lot of service-based or professionally based business models, right? Accounting, legal, engineering, consulting, marketing, software, they ultimately depend on sales execution. Anytime you can help a company improve their top line, you will be paid and you will be compensated accordingly. Yeah, I personally think the most important money-making skill when it comes to earning that's completely transferable is your people skills, right? Your ability to talk to other people, to hold conversations, to build relationships, to be accountable to your own word, to be someone that other people can trust and rely on, to be proactive, to be a good communicator. People who do these things build a good reputation for yourself. They make connections and drive dollars in business. You will and you will always be well rewarded, regardless of technology trends or technical expertise. And another thing that I think is really valuable is just overall flexibility and adaptability, right? If when you demonstrate to other people that you're someone who can learn new things quickly, that you can change and adapt to new environments, it's a huge soft skill that isn't often spoken about. But if you're too linear in your approach to work and life, and you can only do things in a certain way, that will impact how much money you can ask for in the marketplace, right? Companies and managers usually don't like that. So money, it's made in proportion to how good you are skill-wise, value-wise, how you can impact other people, and whether you can do it at scale and with leverage. And when we're talking about impact, we're talking about the ability to deliver based on what a marketplace wants to pay for, whether that's a labor market or services market or physical goods market. And if you are good enough, okay, whether you choose to be an investor, whether you choose to do social media, whether you choose to run a brick and mortar store, whether you choose to work in IT, whatever you choose, okay? It all starts with you, your skills, you being good enough, and being good enough at one thing for long enough to stick with it for a long period of time. If you like this video today and personal finance videos in general, make sure you subscribe to my channel. Check out my video up top where I talk about whether you should lease, finance, or buy a car. Car purchases are one of the biggest financial decisions you're gonna make in your life. So that's a really great video to check out. Let me know down in the comments below what signs you think signal people to do well financially, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Until next time.